Hello, I wanted to make this quick tutorial on the roof auxiliary portion of the module number 6 now. Module 6, after you get done with the guest cottage. Go ahead and do that first. Make sure you submit the DWG and the PDF. You're going to work on this roof auxiliary project. There's a file here, a DWG file. Your task is to create a partial primary auxiliary view with annotation for a roof skylight. Okay, you must annotate the square footage of the surface. Create a layout page with appropriate scale for each. The title sheet must be filled out correctly, indicating your name, the project date, and scale. Submit the DWG file. This is worth 20 points. So, first of all, in module number 6, you've got this roof auxiliary. This is a DWG. There actually is a PowerPoint slide, chapter 9. You should probably look through and try to understand this first, what an auxiliary view is. But I'm going to go ahead and click on roof auxiliary. And again, this is a DWG file. So this is an ArcD sheet. If I press measure geom, so it'll be MEASUREGOM, measure geom. And I measure from the upper right corner over to this upper left corner. I got 3 feet, 3 feet. But if I move the cursor mouse downwards, I get 2 feet. So this is an ArcD. This is an architectural D size sheet. Now you're going to want, this is a C's, ArcD. You're going to want to include all the pertinent information here. Project title, your name, the date, things like that. Drawn by, checked by. The class, the date, the scales you use. These are going to kind of vary, so as you'll see later. But first things first, let me get to the model space. Oh, here we go. We're going to flip this house. This house needs a roof, so we're going to add some style with skylights. Now, what happens a lot of times, you get an old, dilapidated house, and you might buy it cheap, do the improvements, and then file a federal 1031 to avoid capital gain and flip houses. People make money that way. So we're going to say this house has a problem though. We're going to flip it, but it needs a roof. So, and you're given this multi-view here. Well, where in here can I need to estimate. The roofer's going to want to know how much material, how much roof do you have. So if I look at the front view here, notice you can only account for X and Y. But if you look at the roof, it's pitched. You've got a 12/6 pitch all the way around. Remember, in architecture, we always set the run to 12. The rise can vary, but we got a 6/12 all the way around. And if you look at the roof plan, well, this is what you call a hip roof when they're sloped on all 4 sides. So this is sloped. This surface area slope. I could not use this triangular shape, this triangular shape here, to perform an estimate because it would be incorrect. So what do? The drafter at that point, we realize we need the true size and shape of this object. Well, the true slope of this front slope of the roof is actually right here. So I'm going to take that line, right click, copy selection. This is going to be the true length of my slope. Now we're going to create a primary auxiliary view. What it does, it's going to show the true size and shape of this sloped roof. But to do this view, to finish this view, I kind of want things to look more normal. I want them to look upright. I want them to look basically like how it would look as though I was actually on a roof. So I want to stand this line upright. How to do that? If I select it and right click, I'm going to rotate it. But I'm going to, and rotate, like many of the modified commands, wants a base point. So I choose a base point. But see, here's the thing. I don't know what angle to rotate it to. I could use some trigonometry and figure out how much a 612, how much angle there is on a 612. But there's an easier way. AutoCAD, if you look in a command bar, will let you rotate to a reference. So I type or press R for reference. Now the way rotate reference works is this. 1, 2, 3. The first 2 points, 1 and 2, well, they define the initial angle. Then the next angle, make sure you're in polar. You're going to want to get this line to stand upright. So look for due north and 3, left click. All that did was stand the line upright. Now I need to move this over. I think it's too close to here. So I'm just going to shift it over here a little ways, okay? Next, that's going to be the true length of my slope. That is the true length of the front slope of this roof, okay? Where's the true width? Well, true width kind of varies. At the bottom, at this raked edge, it's going to be here. Or if you look in the aerial view, the roof plan view, it would be this. This would be the true width of the raked edge. So I'm going to right click copy selection from the midpoint to the lower end point of this line. Next, what about the top of the ridge? The top of the roof. This is the true width here. It would also be the true width here, but I'm just going to right click copy one of them, which is this one, and copy that here. Next, I take this line and I'm going to stretch it by left clicking on the lower end point and bringing it over to the bottom of that raked edge, and then left clicking on the upper end point, bringing it to this top edge here. Then I press or type mirror command. I'm going to mirror it across the vertical axis to make a horizontal copy. That would be the true size and shape of the front of the roof. Well, the front and the back are identical. You see, this house is rectangular. It's a little wider than it is deep. So I can actually right click repeat mirror and just mirror this across a horizontal line, which is the ridge board, to form the back of the roof. Now this would be as though that roof were laid out flat. Next, I need to find the true size and shape of the right and the opposing, the left sides of the roof. Well, where's the true length of this left roof? It's actually going to be this line. So here again, I select this slope, which would be the the right slope of this roof. Right click, copy selection, make a copy somewhere close by here. Select it, right click rotate, pick the base point, press reference, or type R for reference, spacebar, R spacebar. 1, 2, 3. Get it to stand upright. What about the true width? Well, I'm going to pick this line here, right click, copy selection. You want to leave the multi-view alone. And then I'm going to copy it from the midpoint to the end point here. Next, what I need to do is select this line here and just stretch it over to this left end point. Press mirror or type mirror. M spacebar works too. And mirror it across like that. Now I'm going to take this right side of the roof and move it. I'm going to move this lower left vertex to the lower right vertex of the front roof. Select all 3 of these lines. Right click rotate. Pick the base point. Reference. 1, 2. And if this worked correctly, remember this is a hip roof. They should come together perfectly to form that hip. Now I'm going to select these 2 lines here, this acute triangle, acute angle, and mirror it across to come up with the whole roof auxiliary. Now, if you were to take this roof off of this house and lay it out flat on the lawn, this is what you would see. That would represent the true size and shape of this roof. Next, measure. MEASUREGEOM. Measure geom. One of the things you can measure distance, you can measure radius, you can measure angle, area, and even volume. I'm going to measure the area. I need to know the square footage. So I press area. Now the way this works, wherever I begin, I have to end. So in other words, I need the whole closed perimeter. I need to close in the whole perimeter. So if I begin here, I need to end here. So I'm going to start at this end point and work my way over to this end point. Now watch this. I need to exclude this little sliver. So I pick this point here. But then when I pick this point here and come down here, notice it excluded that little sliver. And I'm just picking points all the way around the perimeter. But I have to end where I began, which is right here. And when I press enter, it tells me that my square footage is 2,255 0.93897 square feet. Now, something you should know about roofing, especially construction management, roofing squares. Roofing squares are 100-foot square. Doesn't matter if it's 10 by 10 or if it's 5 by 20. It doesn't really matter. A roofing square, doesn't matter the shape. It's that square footage. So I got, and here's the other thing about materials and material estimates. You would always round up because you do not want to run out of materials. Plus, you might need some extra to put the crown shingles on. So I'm going to round that up. We'll round that up to 23,000 square feet. But then I need to divide by the roofing square, which is 100 feet. We're going to say there's 23 roofing squares. So next, I pick multi-line text, and just somewhere down here, maybe make a text box, and type in 23 roofing squares. And maybe I'm going to justify this. So I select, I misspelled squares. Hold on. Sometimes my fingers get goofy. I'm going to justify this by the top center. There's a TC, top center. And then maybe just move it a little bit closer to the midpoint. Maybe pull the track straight down. Okay, so 23 roofing squares. Next, we're going to add a little more to this. So there's some documentation here, which is, let's see, A06, 15 and a quarter. Okay, frame width, frame height, frame aperture width, frame aperture height. It's missing the word. Skylight width, skylight height. So these are rectangular dimensions for a Velux A06 skylight. Now, if you don't know what a skylight is, it's basically a window that goes in your roof. So we're going to begin to draw this. And these are going to be visible lines. So I'm going to start off by maybe picking a color, I don't know, like a red, index red. And I'm going to change my line weight to 0.6 millimeter. And I'm going to pick line command. And somewhere around here, I'm just going to pick a line. And I'm going to come across this frame width, which is 15 and a quarter. 15 and a quarter is a decimal, is 15.25. Then I got to come down 46 and a quarter. So I come down 46.25. Come back across the x-axis here, 15.25. Now naturally I've got three sides. I need a rectangle so I connect together. Now I'm going to draw the frame aperture width. So I'm going to pick a different color and a new location. Pick line command. I come across 11 and 15 sixteenths. So the 16th of an inch, I've got it memorized as a decimal, is 0.0625. And if I subtract that from 1, I'm going to get 11.9375. Enter. And then come down 42 and 15 sixteenths. So 42.9375. Enter. Come back 11.9375. Again, I've got three sides of a rectangle connected. Last, I'm going to do the skylight. So I'll choose a different color again, maybe magenta. Pick line command. Come across the x-axis 16 and an eighth, which is 16.125. And then come down 47 and a quarter. So 47.25. Then I come back 16.125 and connect that together. Now these actually belong centered. So I'm going to change my line weight now to 0.3. Pick line command, and I'm going to draw a diagonal line through the rectangles. And here's why. The midpoint. The midpoint is not only halfway across the width of the skylight, but it's also halfway down the length of it. Same thing with the other two. So I'm going to draw a diagonal line between each of these, and then I'm going to stack them on top of each other using the move command and the midpoints of the diagonal. But when I get done, I'm going to delete my diagonal lines. I don't need those. Next, here's something you can do. You can pick spline control vertex. Now with control vertex, spline control vertex, okay, what it does is when you pick 2 points, it tries to find a center. Now watch that. See, it finds a center to the next point. So I'm just going to kind of draw a line up like this maybe. And next I'm going to go to hatch. One of them that I like to use is cross because it kind of looks like frost. So cross, let me find out, where's it at? Did I pass it? Oh, right here. So I might need to play with the scale now. So let me do a preview. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I definitely need to play with the scale. And let's see, maybe I'll pick a different color like silverish. And the scale, maybe I'll boost that up to something like 12. Let's see how that looks. Okay, maybe I'll give it an angle too, like 45. Just to make it look like frost. Maybe I'll change the scale again to 6. I don't know. Let's see how that looks. Don't look too bad. Now the spline control vertex, you would delete that. You just kind of want to give it an image like it's kind of fading out. Here's another thing you could do, and this is up to you. Instead of picking hatch, you can pick gradient and choose colors. So maybe I want to give it a polarized look. So maybe like I'll go to more colors, and I'll go to true color, and I'll kind of bring this plus symbol into the green. Let me get that looking like a polar green. And if you need to, you can lighten it up or darken it. So I don't know. Maybe like a dark green like that. And hit OK. That's one of my colors. Let me go to the other color. Maybe go with more colors again. This time I'll go to true color. Use like an orange. Let's see what kind of orange I can get. Oh, okay. And maybe I'll lighten that up to make it look more polarized. Maybe it needs to get a touch of red here. So you can play around with the colors this way too. I don't know. Let's try that and see how it looks. And then let's do a preview. Wow, that's pretty polarized looking. So, but we need to put it on a roof. So next, what I'm going to do is group the skyline. And let's see how it's going to look up here. I'm going to pick line command and just simply draw a line through from the ridge board down to the raked edge. And then let's try to move this. Let me grip it from its geometric center and just kind of move it onto this line here. Okay, good. Next command that I'm going to use is called array command. Now, traditionally there was two types of an array. You had a rectangular and a polar array. But I believe it was around 2004 they added array along a path. Later in the term when we use 3D models, we're going to array along a path. But today I just want to show you polar and rectangular array. So a rectangular array, if I press array and select the objects, by default it's rectangular array. And the way it works is this. You've got a grip point. So I can grip this here and maybe shift it. Watch. Left click and grip. Okay? So maybe I'll shift this over here like that. The inner areas control the spacing between. The outer arrows control how many, in this case, columns you have. And same thing with the outer arrow up here. That would be how many rows you had, okay? And the space between those. Or here's another thing. You got this grip point out here. This is like cross multiplication, okay? So, but the other way you can control these is up here in the table. So maybe I don't need so many columns, like 10 columns. Let me make that 3 columns. Maybe I don't need so many rows. Maybe I only want 2 rows. Okay, that's looking a little bit better. You can also change the space between them. So let me change the space between this to like, I don't know, 24. And then let's change this to like 72. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so you can change things that way too. Now, here's the thing about an array in AutoCAD. AutoCAD counts all of this as one entity now. It's all one array. So if you were to right click, go to properties, let me see. Right click. Oh. Well, type in properties and select my object. It's going to tell me that it's an array. It's all one array. So let's say I wanted to knock this upper left window out, this window in the middle on the bottom row, and this upper right window. You would have to explode the array. That brings it back to being individual windows again. So I'm going to pick these two here and the one in the middle. and delete those. Here's another type of an array, a polar array. So polar array, if I choose polar array, I'm going to select my objects. It's going to want a base point, kind of like rotate. So I'm going to choose here. Kind of looks like a kaleidoscope at this point. So you can control different things here. Like let's say I only want 2 items. Or let's say I want 4 items. Okay? So you can also change the angle between them. Let's say, well, I wouldn't necessarily want to do that here. You can change the fill. Let's say I only want it to go to 270, like 3/4 a circle. Oh, it won't let me do it with the number of items I have, right? So maybe I got to go with 3 items. Okay? So, and you can always undo what it is you did. Well, actually, in this situation, you got to type that in like that. I'm going to put 2 items. And the space between them, I'm going to change it to 360. Okay. And then hit close. Here again, I'm going to explode the array. And maybe take these and make a copy somewhere. I'm going to copy these. Well, before I do, let's do this. I'm going to draw a line through here. Peak to ridge, midpoint. And then make a copy. Kind of like maybe, I don't know. So, okay. And then what to do next is I'm going to rotate those. I'm going to rotate these. Being careful what I select. I don't want to select the hip. Here's another way. Watch this. So I'm being very selective. If I pick rotate and select too much while I'm still in select mode, I can actually type in R, remove objects from my selection. I'll remove those. And then base point is going to be, I guess, right here at this midpoint, reference. 1, 2, 3. Then I can delete this line and maybe simply mirror these across. Now, really, whatever skylights you come up with, I really want you to be original about that. I don't want you to actually do anything that I did. Give me something different. Give me something different. Last touch I would do, I'm going to go to Draw, Spline, Fit, and just kind of create like a light source look. So I kind of want to make this look like there's a bit of a light source involved. And, oh, what I hit escape too soon. Sorry. Let me keep it coming. Okay, so I'm looking like this edge is kind of bound by a shadowy thing. And what to do, I'm gonna hatch this with a very special pattern called AR Shake. AR Shake is short for Architectural Roofing Shake. So here again, I might have to play with the scale. 1's good, but let me give it more of a brown color. Roofing shake traditionally is cedar shake. So maybe a cedar shake. Cedar shake's kind of like a grayish brownish. So maybe around here, and hit OK. Click in there. Now here's the thing. Your spline line doesn't really exist. There's not really an object there. You just kind of want to make it look like there's a light source or a shadow here, okay? So, last step. Once I get there, I'm going to do File, Save As. Make sure to save your work. I'm going to save it on my desktop, I suppose. Might want to give it a different name, like AMS163. Martelli. Roof. I guess. That's fine. Now, last step, go to your ArcD. Again, make sure to fill out all this information because you get points for it. I'm going to draw a rectangle somewhere, like maybe right here. And I'm going to type in VPORTS, V ports. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't need this rectangle. I'm going to type in viewports. If you hit this little drop down arrow on a command bar, it goes to your recent. Erase was my most recent. Viewports was next recent. I'm going to create a single viewport, and I'm just going to pick a rectangle and just kind of come across like maybe like that. So in here, that's the viewport. I'm going to double click and kind of zoom into my front elevation maybe. Well, let's see what kind of scale works. Let's try 3/16 the inch equals a foot. Yeah, that's pretty close. So double click out of there. Here's another thing you can do. Maybe I'll right click or go to recent commands, go to viewports. Let me make another single one. Let's make another one maybe over here. Okay, so over here I might activate that and show the top view, the aerial view, or roof plan view. Actually, this is the roof plan view. Let's see if that 3/16 the inch equals a foot scale works for that. Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. I might have to move some stuff like right here. Let me move that up slightly. You could even change that to roof plan if you wanted to. Okay, here's another way. I'm going to draw me an ellipse. So I pick ellipse. Oh, let me deactivate. I pick ellipse. Ellipse. Sorry, computer's being slow. Oh, I didn't lock that in. Why not? Let me reset that. 3/16 inch equals a foot. Okay, and double click out of there. There we go. Now I pick ellipse, and let me put the center maybe here. And here's my minor radius. Here's I guess going to be my major radius. Now I might need to change this, so I'm going to select it and just kind of narrow that in maybe a little bit. Get it within the margin. You can move the center of it too if you need to. So let me move that to, oh, now I can make it bigger. Okay, good. Ooh, that's too big. Okay, sorry. Let me get that back here. Yeah, very good. Gotta be careful moving that around. You can type in MView, M-V-I-E-W, MView, and in the command bar you'll see objects. So I select objects, select my ellipse. Now I'm going to double click inside here. This is where I'm going to show my auxiliary. Let's see what kind of scale works best for that. We could try to 3/16 of an inch equals a foot again. Maybe I could go bigger. Let's try 1/8 or 1/4 of the inch. Will that work? Yeah, my ellipse isn't quite big enough. So probably better off with that 3/16 the inch. I want you to come up with your own viewports, okay? Your own viewports, okay? So very important. Come up with your own viewports, and just to give it the final touch, I'm going to hit multi-line text, and maybe right here write 3/16 inch. Let me zoom out. Equals 1 foot dash 0 inch. Oh wow, that's really big text though. So let me double check that. What happened with my text height? Oh, the size is 8. I need to change that to 1/8. 1/8. That's better. Okay. So, and notice this. It stacked it mechanically. I'm going to unstack that. Unstacked. Okay. That's acceptable in architecture. So let me kind of move that here. And then maybe just make copies from here to here to maybe here. Make sure to fill out your title block. Thank you.